Hello, everyone. My name is Natalie Vartanian. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at COR, and I'm being accompanied today by Lee Eskey. Lee is the co-founder and also one of the lead facilitators at COR. So not only has he been behind the work, but he's also in the work, doing the work himself. And so we thought we would hop on today to talk about what men's work is and why do it with women.
Hmm.
um, and really to speak to, you know, the struggles that men are facing, because in some ways I really do see how, men struggle very silently because of the ways that we've have made it not okay for men to suffer and men to struggle and kind of have that Superman, indestructible kind of role to play. And so I'm really excited to talk about that with you, Lee, because it is a conversation I don't think that that's had, and a conversation for us to have as an organization that started out being run by women, primarily doing women's work, and then wanting to include the men in the work as well. Um, so just so you all know, we're going to cover three main points. So we're going to talk about, what are the struggles that men are facing, both normally and then now in this time. Why do men's work? Why it's important? What do we get out of that? And then also the distinction of why with women. So we'll cover that point too. Why do men's work with women? So I will kick it off to you, Lee, for you to maybe share, what do you see as some of the struggles that men are facing, and both in your own personal experience and kind of what you see in the space?
Mm. Yeah, thank you, Natalie. And it is my personal experience. I appreciate the way you framed that. I've just, as you were sharing all that, I was just kind of connecting to my own journey as a man and my own rites of passage. And man, do we all go through it? I mean, everybody, all humanity goes through their own journey, right? And
Yes.
I love this opportunity to share what you and I talk a lot about at CORE with the guys out there. And you know, rites of passage, I think what men struggle with today is probably an acute lack of a rite of passage into adulthood. I mean, if we kind of boil it down to the basic, to the kind of
Right.
under problem, is we don't live in a society where men are initiated into adulthood, into manhood, and initiated even beyond initiated, but like affirmed in, like
Right. Right, because I
affirmed in.
saw that kind of, it's like this expectation to go from child to man, just like overnight somehow, without any guidance or fostering or cultivating or encouraging what that even
Yeah,
means.
that's right. And there used to be a lot of guidance. And so, I mean, I think men struggle a lot with that. We struggle with broken families. We struggle with a lack of leadership among men. We struggle with lack of role models, of good role models. And on top of that, the current men's movement kind of came out of the 1990s, which was also a response to the need to define ourselves again as men in the face of feminine power, in the face of women claiming their femininity. It kind of left men with, okay, well, who am I? And so one of the basic, I think the
Like
basic,
a
some,
collective confusion of like, what does it mean to be a man
yeah,
now?
yeah, and a kind of collective shame. And I think that's what a lot of
Mm,
men endure. I think a lot of men these days experience shame around being men, a lack of affirmation that it's good to be a man, and that I can be an adult empowered man, and that's a good thing for me and for the world. I think, boy, that's a leap
yeah.
right there, to say if I step into my power as a
Wow.
man, it's a good thing for the world. And I also think purpose.
Mm,
Men want to know, all of us, but I think men also in a particular kind of way also want to know, what's my purpose? What gift am I giving to the world? Because that's part of the men's journey. The men's and women's journey are very similar, very complementary, and also specific and unique. And that may be a conversation for another day, but one of the things that men need is
mhm.
is a sense of purpose. And I think those are things that men struggle with. And as you and I have talked about, and you've mentioned, I think there's also loneliness. We live in a culture of isolation, and a lot of men, we spend a lot of time alone. and without that affirmation and that confirmation of our masculinity by men or women. Those are some of the
Right.
problems.
And that depth and that depth of relationships too, because I really firmly believe we all want intimacy and to really be loved and seen and gotten, like, and it's okay to just be who you are, you know, be the man you are, be the father you are, the brother you are, the uncle you are, what, just like your own version of that. But we don't feel like we can be, and then we don't feel like there's people we can talk to about this. And so again, back to that, like, suffering silently,
Yeah.
and like there's nowhere to go and no one that I can be in this both struggle and inquiry, like, what does that even mean? How do I even get out of this place that I'm feeling?
Yeah. And I think the current cultural situation, especially around COVID and kind of the state of the
Mm.
world, it's just exacerbated it. You know, it's made it worse. So there's more isolation, there's more distancing, and less connection, less community. And I think these are some of the things that men are struggling with right now.
Yeah, and which is why I really want to spend, you know, a good portion of the time talking about, like, why do the work? Why do men's work? Why pursue a path of inquiring around this, of facing it, of, you know, and what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Because I know that, like, I can see, I can even hear some of the guys like, oh man, just like ignore it. Just like keep, you know, it's not going to change. It's not going to get better. Like, what's the point? You know, that kind of, let's just ignore it and hopefully it gets better kind of
Yeah. Well,
energy.
and yes, and I mean, if we just bottom line it, it doesn't. I mean, by ignoring things, it doesn't. You know, there's kind of two shadowy tendencies that we have. One is to pretend that things aren't the way they are, and to kind of hope they'll get better, right? And that kind of means ignoring it, right? And or the other tendency, which is also kind of a man's tendency, is to want to fix it, and that's great. It's like we want to fix it, but there's a deeper path, which is integration, which is, I mean, I think part of the issue that we have with ourselves now, it's not to get too heady about it, but we're disintegrated. We're kind of blown apart into parts, and there's a deep yearning, I think, for me to be able to be me in the presence of myself and with you. You know, it's kind of the deepest human journey, right? Can I be me, all of me, without, because as far as we reject or suppress or deny, that stuff's going to just come out sideways, as we know, as any of us who've experienced addiction or acting out or stoicism or any of these 1,000 ways that, ignoring things, it doesn't work. It leaks and comes out another way. And so why we do men's work, I love that question, is we do men's work because we need it. And we do, the phrase men's work is, I guess a modern word for men coming together in community and seeking healing and maturity and growth together. And that's kind of how I would say what men's work.
Thank you for delineating that, because I think there is this question too of, like, what do they even mean by men's work? Like, what is this work men are doing?
Right.
And to kind of the brass tacks of it, because again, the reason I love COR is, there is definitely, what we're talking about today around, there's this very, like, profound work that we do, but it's also very practical. Like, there's very much a practical aspect to the work, whatever that means. And so you got to talk about what that offers a man, like, to actually go on this journey, because it is a journey, right? Like, this.
Well, and what you just said, Natalie, reminded me, part of men's work is that it actually happens in reality. And what I mean is that we can read about things. I mean, you and I have probably read our share of self-help books. And
oh my God, libraries.
So,
libraries full, like, behind you, like, about
I got it right. So
yeah.
And there's a gift to be had in reading a self-help book, and there's a gift to be had in therapy and counseling and mentoring. There's a gift to be had, but there is a deeper and more profound and maybe exponentially impactful gift that happens when we get together and we do the work we dive deep and seek that healing and that maturity together in the presence of other people and skilled facilitators. That's a different ball game that can take those other things that we've learned, like the head knowledge from the book, which is awesome, and bring it into reality. So when you talk about practical, I don't think there's anything more practical than men's work, or any work that brings us to maturity, integration, and healing, because it makes us much more effective in the world instead of dealing with all the kind of imaginary, games that we play with ourselves alone.
Right. Well, and even that, the relational aspect of it too, because this work that we're referring to, whether it's an evening workshop or an immersion weekend or a retreat, it's done in a group because there is a place to practice the relational, dynamics where you're not just fantasizing about it or, like kind of thinking about the past. It's like you said, real time, we're going to work this out, practice things, try things on, see what comes up, when someone says something or someone just stands in front of me, like just those opportunities that happen in real time with other people to have us go even deeper in the inquiry and the healing.
Yes. And that's profoundly practical, because that's where life is lived in real time with other people. And that's where we grow. So.
Yeah. And so then with that, right, this traditionally men's work has been done with other men, and again, the importance of doing it in community. And so I want to talk to why with women, which is something that COR definitely has differentiated itself with the way that they decide to do men's work.
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I think, for one thing, there's lots of organizations like Mankind Project and other organizations out there doing great work with men, men's work with men. And in a certain level, men can help guide men into masculinity and to full maturity as men. And that's wonderful work. I've done it and I continue to do it, and it's great. But as you said at the beginning of our call, COR was founded 20 plus years ago by women. And so there's a different territory here. And I think we are one of the only that I know of organizations that does men's work that's where the facilitators and the staff are women. And
throughout.
Yes.
Because I've know of some where women will come in for a portion of it, right? Or there'll be a panel or a round table or something like that. But like this is it's led and staffed the whole time. We are the ones in charge.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think the gift of that is that men get a real immersion into the feminine. They get, because this is a weekend, all our events were structured kind of to be a space of the feminine. It's like a dive in, it is a dive into love. So men can initiate men into masculinity, but women can initiate men into a deeper love, to an opening, to a surrender, to a whole other challenge, a whole other claiming your adult masculinity in the face of a woman, right? And I haven't met a man yet that I haven't proposed that to who didn't have some reaction that was either, oh boy, or how exciting, or you mean I can heal that stuff that I've carried so long with my mom or my ex-wife. And I think that's one other thing, just to speak a point that you mentioned earlier. I think a lot of men carry a lot of wounding with women, Natalie.
Yes. And it's unfortunate and sad, and especially because of what you said, that and how it comes out. But then when we never go to the actual root of it, that pain, that disconnect, the hurt, and honestly, as someone that when I was one of the staff women at Noble Men, our in-person retreat, and I remember sitting there and listening to these men, and my heart was breaking over and over and over again, because I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is what they've experienced. But again, we've trained them to be stoic and just like robots. And I mean, I just felt like I could weep for days and feel like, and we don't know this, like none of us know like the extent of that hurt.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, it makes all the sense in the world then why the actions and the reactions that
Yeah.
come from that hurt.
Yes. And it's such a, and you and I've been there so many times at these weekends, events, immersions, retreats, where the healing that happens when we allow that depth of pain to be explored with compassion and care and courage, and we
Yes.
hold that space with so much love, there is a profound healing that happens. And men leave never this, it's a whole different ballgame when we walk out of that. And the women
Mm-hmm.
too, when we leave that arena, when we leave that territory, life is not the same anymore. Wouldn't you say that's true? I mean, we're different. We're
Oh
fundamentally
yeah.
changed.
Fundamentally different. And not to have this sound like a grand proclamation, but it's a glimpse of what's possible in relationships, the peace, the honoring of men and women with each other, the respect, the support, like you said, the goodness, like all of the best things kind of being
Yeah.
brought out by each, in this case we do gender work, in with each of the genders, and what's possible. And I walk away every time with like, this is why this work is so important, because we've never been taught this, we've never had a place to learn this, we've never had a place to practice this.
Yeah.
And it is profoundly important. And so kind of to sum of that up, Lee, I'm curious, like what you would say to men around that question of like, because like you said, different reactions might come up when they think about stepping into a space that's like run by women, led by women. But, what you would speak to, one or two of those around that concern or that reaction.
Yeah, I would say, you're worth your life as a man. You are worth investing time in. You are worth committing time to. Your life is valuable. And the extent of that charge, that's what we call that trigger, or that feeling of weakness that often that men experience with women, or sadness or longing or hurt. I would say that, brother, that the depth of that pain is directly proportionate to the possibility of healing and growth and empowerment. And so, and it's a courageous thing. Men are always, we're looking for a battle, a good battle. This is the healthy masculine, and this is for men and women. This is the healthy masculine for all people. We want a good battle to fight. We want to win a good battle, not a bad one. We want to be used for a good cause. And I can't think of a greater cause, on a more courageous cause, to step into that fear. And I know there's a place of fear for men with women, for almost all men. And I just want to say trust the thousands of men who've gone before you down this path. That's one thing I would say, who've come out the other side more empowered and more loving and more confident. And you're in good company.
Yeah, and I would extend that to say, trust that there's also a group of women that really love you and want to show you what that love is like, that unconditional love you as you are, affirm you and affirm your goodness, and be with you in the trenches as you thrash around and uncover some of this and heal some of this. Like, that trust that there are a group of us that are committed to doing that work with you. And that's why we started these these workshops, to provide that space of healing that only doing the work with women can provide.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful space you all create too. I mean, the women who come, it's a miraculous space. So
it is, and it's a courageous one. So men, if you are up for the challenge and the good battle, as Lee said, and to have a space to show up as yourself and explore some of these pain points, some of these struggles, some of these challenges in relationships with other women, whatever role they are in your life, your mom, your sister, your aunt, your colleague, your boss, your, business partner, whoever they are, like to be able to have that be even deeper, stronger, truer, more honest, is possible at these events. And so we are doing monthly evening workshops, 2 hours, a really easy, cost-effective way to get a taste of the work. We're doing those virtually every month. And then we're doing 2-day immersion weekends. So, I mean, the benefit of, in some ways, you know, having to shift our work to virtual is that you could do it from the comfort of your home, wherever you are, instead of just, you know, we usually do them in California and Florida. So we would love for you to join us. So July 30th and August 27th are the next evening workshops. And then September 12 to 13 is our immersion weekend. And you can find all of this on our Facebook events page, on our website, corexperience.com, under the calendar. And please reach out if you have any questions. But Lee, is there anything else you want to say before?
Yeah, thank you, Natalie. I just want to throw one other thing in there, because I think it's important to know too, that for some men, there's a desire to heal with women. As you just said, you said this kind of litany of the girlfriends, and maybe you've got a pain in particular with women, and that's something you want to heal. But it's also a space just to heal your life, that feminine aspect of ourselves. So I just want to make it clear, this is not a workshop that's specific. It's not a dating workshop. It's not a matchmaking workshop. And it's not even necessarily a workshop that you have to work on a relationship with the feminine, although with a lot of men, that is an issue. But it's also if part of you is stuck in life, or feeling not met or not loved or not empowered, it's a powerful venue, even if it's not specifically around, you know, a relationship with women. So I just wanted to say, it's, you know, it's both of those paths are possible.
Yes, because to cherry on that sundae, you know, those parts that probably cause you pain are probably the parts that you've rejected, that are those kind of more feminine aspects, those, your emotions, your heart, your, you know, like all of those parts that we've, you know, this is a space to reclaim them and really, like you said, integrate them and really see the gifts in them.
Yeah. Thank you, Natalie. Thanks for making the time.
Thank you, Lee.
For this.
Thank you so much. And we really hope that you all can join us at one of our next evening workshops, immersion weekends, and then once we do in live in person again, our Nobleman weekend retreats. So thank you so much, and hope to see you soon.